Welcome to Journey Through the Gate, the Paranormal Portal podcast, as we delve into the many questions and wonders brought on by the supernatural experience. I just love those little ghost paws that goes across the logo like that, man. It just gets me every time. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Monday Madness. Ain't no telling what's going to happen tonight. And I see everybody's in there just having a ball already. And thank you so much, mods, for welcoming everybody in. Tonight we're also in another place. As soon as I get this old rattlesnake on here with me, we'll tell you about it. Come on in here, Steve.
Hey, how's it going, baby? Everybody?
How's it going? Yeah, we're actually going live over there at High Strangeness over there in the Facebook group. They let me link up tonight too. So any new people coming in, Steve, to home.
Indeed.
Welcome yourself to home. So how you been? Gosh, it's been a week again.
Been a whole week. Yeah, been doing good. Been busy this week. Got all kinds of stuff going on, missing persons and mysteries. Got new videos coming out.
I got my, wait a minute, let me see here.
We got AC/DC.
I got my Monday shirt on. I know it's Monday when I got my AC/DC rolling thunder here. Fire and rain, oh my goodness. Coming on like a hurricane. Well, this is it, man, Monday Madness. You had sent me some videos of our wonderful friend Zariah. How wonderful was it to have him on last weekend?
Yeah, that was a good show. I'd like to have him back sometime soon. We'll get him and Donnie Cho on together and let them fight each other to the death.
Donnie was on here last night. Boy, he was he was a trip. I just kept telling him, Donnie, take another drink of whiskey. And just hold on, we got some. It's so nice to have people that think of different questions and look at things different. You know what I mean? And ask the hard questions sometimes because it makes you think. Yep. You know, never been afraid of a hard question. I mean, gosh, if you don't know, you don't know. And we certainly don't have the answers. But we keep trying to pick apart this onion, Steve. You know? Yep. And I think, like you said once, it's not so much to find the answers to the questions. It's more discovering what, the stuff along the way to
looking
get
for
there.
The next question. Yeah, it's
yeah, because all the new, a whole bunch of new
always
questions
led to more
up.
answers than questions.
I know.
Or more questions than answers,
Questions and answers.
I don't think I've found any answers, but lots and lots more questions.
You know, it's funny because I don't want to call them answers. I want to call them theories I'm comfortable with at this point in time in my journey. That's as close as I could get to answers because at this time I'm comfortable with certain theories that I've got so far. You know, from other people, it's always a combination of everybody's work, as we're going to see tonight. You know, we saw a couple of weekends back talking about Harry Price and Peter Underwood, and there were people before them that were looking into getting information. So you're never the first, really, but we have talked about some firsts here, like the first person to say that we're a ghost hunter. And I think it's funny that Harry Price and Hans Holzer kind of fought over that one, a little bit, and
Yeah.
in a gentlemanly way, but this has been going on for so long, and I just said it. I was saying it to Donnie last night. It's not so much we were doing psychic detective, psychic investigation. You and I both know plenty of people that have been involved in that. Whether it was an anonymous call or actually sitting down, remote viewing, just every aspect under the sun you can imagine, automatic writing, all kinds of stuff to look for somebody or solve a crime, or gosh, even Mark Nesbitt and Carol and his group there, at the point of getting liquid tested that was coming off the floor that had human DNA, blood type O. So everybody's going at it a different way. All kinds of
interesting stuff, yeah.
Yeah, everybody's going at it a different way. Let's say hi to some of these people. Salvador's been in here giving bacon and thumbs up to everybody since we started. Thank you so much, Salvador. We appreciate it. Mairead, hi, darling. Hey, Ann, how are you? Ann, Edna, be kind. Oh, gosh, it's so good to see everybody. Vixen Doe. And let's see who else we got. AJK is here with us tonight. Peter, how you doing, hon? Who are you seeing in here?
I see Linda Lee Chavez. I see Sean G. Chasing the Truth.
Great.
There's the ubiquitous Donnie Cho. Lotus Girl Towing to Neil is here. Ann Palmer.
Sasha Bell.
AJK.
Hello, love.
Chris Jarvis is in the house. Yeah, it looks like the usual suspects.
Yeah. And a Facebook user saying, "Whoa, welcome in, Facebook user." If you think it's whoa now, we haven't even started. When we get to rolling and tears are running down our faces and everything, we're in here talking about ghosts and paranormal stuff, having a ball. So welcome in. I hope you find something you like. Chris, how you doing, hon? So, apporting, Steve, you sent me a couple of videos of our wonderful friend Zariah, and gosh, I didn't even bring my notebook. It'll come up in the video. And a gentleman he had on, I know his first name was Charles. I just don't. I think it was Topham, Topham.
That sounds right. Toppingham, something like that.
Yeah. He says it's Topham. He said you Americans always have to split everything into syllables. It's Topham, not Topham. That's funny. I thought it was funny. Brilliant. Him and Zariah together. So what I did was I pulled a little clip of that, just the audio, just to give you a little idea of that conversation. I highly recommend, if you are not subbed to Where Did the Road Go with Zariah Ask Kathy, go over there and do it, because he's got something for everybody. And some good music too, if you're into heavy metal and you like that kind of stuff, and the self-expression stuff. I got to tell you, sometimes I like some of it, But there's that, and we're just talking a little bit about what it means for apporting. Is how it's supposed to be. I always say apport, but I pronounce everything wrong. Don't go by me. So, I've had a couple of these experiences. Have you, Steve? I mean...
Oh, yeah. I've had things show up out of nowhere. I've had things disappear, apport in the other direction. Mm-hmm. Rocks, coins, feathers.
Yeah, I would say your feather story has got to be in the apporting category. When you were young, and you used to have the Christmas feather that would come down in the good living room.
The good living room.
In the good living room, and it would just appear out of nowhere. And you said it kind of hovered around the ceiling, just out of reach, right?
Just out of reach. And about the time I got big enough to where I could have climbed on the furniture and risked my life, because my mom would have beat me for that, then I didn't see it anymore.
Yeah, and that is weird.
I chased it for years.
A couple of people I was listening to today was saying that a lot of times these things apport when you're not looking. Now, I don't know if they're meaning, like you're just looking, your back is turned, and then something drops behind you. I think they do mean that, but I also think they mean when you're not looking for it. I think that's
Yeah.
a double, a double entendre there as far as that goes. As it, it's I think certain things block it. Okay, doubt blocks things, and we've said that many times here. You've heard it from many mediums and psychics and people that work with energy, whether it's you name it. Everybody in this is working with some kind of energy some way, whether it's a tarot card reader or a pendulum a dowser or dowsing rods, medium, psychic, the dead, everybody's working with energy here. So when you're working with energy, even living energy, saying phone calls, we've said it many times, Steve, if you don't, you get that phone call from somebody, you don't want to accept that energy, don't pick up the phone. Let it go to voicemail, let it hang up, let them whatever. But as soon as you answer it, you're accepting that energy into your day, into your moment, at that moment in time. You're
Yeah.
giving it permission, are you not, Steve?
Indeed, and it's that way with anything. I think
Mm-hmm.
whether anything natural, supernatural, to a degree, it only has the power
Yep.
over you that you allow it to have. Especially dark things, evil things, things like
Mm-hmm.
that. You've got the power to shut it down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, caller ID is the best thing ever, Linda. I agree, and that's the thing, because back in the day when you didn't know who was on the phone, you just picked it
Hey,
up.
Jeanette Sanchez.
Hey, Jeanette.
Did you ever do that? You pick it up and it's
Yep.
somebody for you that you don't want to talk to, but they haven't recognized your voice. Like, can I
I hang
speak to
up.
Steve Stockton? He's not here
Click,
right now. Can I take
click,
a message? Well,
click.
when do you expect him back? I don't know, in a couple of weeks. There's
Yeah,
a click.
I never say it's me when I answer the phone. I
Yeah,
don't
I
have one
don't
of
answer
those.
with my name.
This
Never.
is the Scots. We're not home right now. Nope, 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 nope. Just the number, and that way you can deny. Plausible
And that
deniability, right,
always would
Steve?
make me mad. You pick up the phone and somebody, who is this? Well, who did you call?
Mm.
Don't call me and ask that I demand, that I ID myself. Wwho are you and who are you trying to get a
Who are
hold
you
of?
trying to get? Yeah, I know. That old bastard left town about a month ago. I don't know what you're talking about. Absolutely, Glenn. I'm gonna do my very best. And I know Steve is too, to try to explain it to the best of our knowledge. I've got a couple little videos and a couple pictures and a little bit of other stuff in there, but basically, I can't explain how it happens. I can't explain. I've had it happen. I know Steve has had it happen. And I know if you guys think about it, really think about it, you've had it probably happen too. Have you ever found pennies? We talked about my birthday week, Steve. It's not just synchronicities. It was the turn signal, distinct turn signal of my grandfather's old, I want to say Dodge, back in the late 60s. The dunk, 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 dunk. The way the sound it made, it was so bassy. It had this like echoey kind of sound. And I
Mhm.
remembered as a kid, I heard that when I made a left turn. And my Suzuki doesn't sound like that. Trust me, it's totally different. Then I found the penny that was in 1 year of my birthday, sitting right smack dab in the middle of my driver's seat in a locked car. And I knew it when I saw it. I said, it's going to be my birthday, didn't it? Because it's like a happy birthday
And
from
I do the
pennies
same
from
thing.
heaven.
Anytime I find a coin, I look at the date
Yep.
because 9 times out of 10, there is some sort of message there, some sort of connection.
Yep, yep, yep. And so think about that. I have had in a locked car, like Steve describes, a gossamer white feather, beautifully fluffy. Now, you ladies know, you get a feather, you get a dream catcher or something like that, eventually it starts getting gunky and everything. The feather isn't quite as fluffy because it's picked up, dust and things like that. If it's out in the ground, it fell off a bird, it's definitely going to have mud, dirt, whatever, oil. This is gossamer fluffy feather, like you just plucked it out of an expensive boa, like a marabou feather, and it's sitting on my dashboard inside a locked car. Just when I was in there talking about angels, probably 2 hours before that. So I think it's little things like that. I don't. As far as the theory of you manifesting it yourself, I'm sure that's possible, and I'm sure somebody like Zariah could really make that connection. But for me, my understanding would just be, man, it just happens, and it happens at the right time, like the song on the radio. Now, I
Yeah,
wouldn't consider that apporting,
it's one
you
of
know.
those things that it's like if you try to make it happen, it just doesn't work.
Right.
You
And you
just
block
have to
it.
let it happen, and it'll just happen.
And you
Like I
block
said,
it.
I've found coins, I've found keys,
Hmm.
I've found just all kinds of things that I know aren't mine, or I know it wasn't there a little
Yep.
while ago. I've lost things that would show back up
Yes.
in an auspicious place. Like I misplaced a pocket knife that my father had given me one time. Looked for it, tore the house apart. Finally, just gave up. Well, about a week later, I came home. I was living by myself at the time. It was laying on the middle of my bed, on top of the bedspread. Explain that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
After a
hard.
couple of weeks, I'd been in and out of the bed and had made the bed that morning, and I know it wasn't there then. Nobody had been in my house, but there was that pocket knife. I think there's a place that things go to sometimes for whatever reason, for however long, and then they come back.
Mm.
Can't
It's
explain it.
it's it's really incredible when you think about it. I think the ones that got me the most were, I've said him here before. Jeremy and his wife are sitting on the couch. Jeremy Enflinger, he's been on the show a couple of times. Um, he's sitting on the couch, and then all of a sudden he hears this thud, and he hears the sound thunk. And all of a sudden, what he describes, it looks like a wadded up black T-shirt just falls from the ceiling, hits the floor, is there for a second, and then just disappears into the floor. No explanation. Never happened before. Never happened after that. That's apporting. Um, I've heard several paranormal experiences, usually with a lot of poltergeist activity, like really, a lot of things moving and, around the house, furniture and everything else, that eggs fell from the ceiling, raw eggs, unbroken, the shell, and fell through the ceiling and landed on the floor and then broke. Can't explain that. In that case, in one of the cases that I'm talking about, that was the one where the young man, where he would go, it would start raining from the ceiling. They even put him in a jail cell, and the guards or the deputies or something were trying to tease him along and said, make it rain, make it rain. And he didn't make it rain in the cell. He made it rain in the sheriff's office. And he says he has no idea how he was doing it. He thought his grandfather was harassing him and possessing him and things like that, which could very well be. But why the apporting? Is it just another form of energy, or is it spirits and ghosts doing it, or other entities?
Maybe all the above.
Yep.
Because some of the accounts I've read, they will hear a sizzle or a
Yes.
pop.
Uh
They'll
huh.
smell ozone, like after a lightning strike, how you smell that electricity in the air. I've heard of that happening. When I was pelted with river rocks once in the Jefferson
Yeah.
National Forest at about 2 o'clock in the morning, after I'd already been hearing what I perceived to be Bigfoot yips and yowls and chatter and stuff, uh, rocks were coming out of the woods and hit me. And I picked one up, and it was hot to the touch.
Yep.
And that's another thing with
Yep.
apporting. A lot of stuff, it tends to have a warmth to it when it shows up.
Yep.
And
I've been
for a
hearing
long
that.
time, I thought they were attacking me,
Hmm.
but instead, I think they were warning me off because the yips and yows were coming from different directions.
It could
And then
be.
the rocks got a little bigger, and they were just coming straight out of the woods. It wasn't like somebody lobbed them or tossed them. It was
Mm.
like they were flying out of the woods. And the
Right.
strange thing, I didn't feel them hit me. What finally caught my attention was when they hit the ground. I heard it, and I looked, and there's
Yes.
like these little rocks bouncing off of me, about the size of a silver dollar, and it's these little river rocks. And I was a long way from any river, but
Mm.
that's just one example. I believe Bigfoot or whatever it was causing these stones to apport, and in the process, they were heating up, and they were surrounded by some kind of energy, so they didn't actually hurt me, or I couldn't even feel them. And
Mm.
I later on, I decided that they were warning me off. So there's probably something that I didn't want to walk into back there. I'm off trail, 2 o'clock in the morning, got my little headlamp on, prowling around in the forest, right off the Appalachian Trail. And it could have been, a human predator, could have been a bear, could have been a big cat, but the big feets were like, you need to go the other way.
Hmm.
And when I did, the yips and yows stopped, and the stone throwing stopped. So whatever their job was, they did it.
I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing at you. I just caught something in the chat here. Wait a minute. Let me see if I can find it. Glenn says, my socks apport from the dryer and return as Tupperware lids that don't fit any container. Now, I think that's a whole nother paranormal experience there. Because that would be an apport and then it changes into manifests into something else and then comes back as a thing. I think that's a whole nother level of apporting, wouldn't you say there, Steve?
Indeed. And I believe there's a portal underneath the
Yep.
couch cushions too.
Yep.
Because I've dropped stuff down in the couch that I've never seen again.
Never seen again. Never seen again. That's true. And oh gosh, somebody was in here and said something. I think I lost it. Hey, Facebook, we have another Facebook user. For some reason, your avatars aren't showing up. If you want to be known, you want to come through. I think there's two different people from Facebook. You can pop into YouTube. We are live on YouTube there, and you can be known, or you could just stay Facebook user. But that's how it comes up. I don't know how to change that. We also, Steve, before we pull up this video, I also have a lovely lady named Annette. She has a YouTube channel. Now, she has not posted in a while, which is a shame because the other videos she has on there are just lovely. She's from I think the Netherlands, if I'm not mistaken, but she explains apporting a little bit. And then I've got a little bit of somebody I think would definitely have to be mentioned tonight, and that's Charles Fort. So we have a little video on him, and I know you've got some stuff on him. And yes, Chasing the Truth. Sean is in here. If you aren't watching his channel, please go in there and sub to him. And if you don't mind, give us a thumbs up. We've got 31 people in here watching. If you could just go back, jump out real quick, hit that like, thumbs up. It helps so much with the YouTube and all that good stuff. And we do appreciate you very much. Or share it out to somebody that you think that might like this. So before we do all that, I don't want to forget this time. I did pull up the pictures that Blue sent us, and I wanted you to have a look at it, Steve. He sent me a thing, and he said he was really excited about it, and I don't blame him. And I'm going to pull up and read what I think is not private. But let me see if I can pull this up here.
I'm looking on Facebook. I want to see if I can find the broadcast over there.
And tell them,
the
come on over.
Simulcast. But yeah, it does that. Anytime I've gone and used the Facebook side of this, it doesn't show. It just says Facebook user, and I don't know why that is.
I don't either. Okay, we've got the first picture. Do you mind if I do it now, Steve? Can you see
go right ahead.
Can you see it? Now that's a big old footprint. Now, I've got another one, but I want to read what he sent me first without losing you guys here. And this is from our friend Blue Crossroads, who is an avid cryptid lover and an investigator extraordinaire in many, many ways.
Playing from Steve's Galaxy S10 Plus.
Alexa, stop.
What's up, Alexa?
You can control Bluetooth audio from your phone.
Alexa, stop.
Apport, Alexa, Apport.
She was getting ready to play Band on the Run by Paul McCartney, Remastered 2010.
Don't do that, Lord
I did
mercy.
not say her name. I did not mention anything about Paul McCartney. So if something happens to Paul McCartney, you heard it here first.
I think something already happened to Paul McCartney, but that's a whole
and
other
these
show.
Glasses that I've got on, they're connected to She Who Cannot Be Named either, but I just turned them off. So
your glasses are connected to Yoko Ono?
No, to
got it. The other one.
Alexa.
Got it.
Good, she can't spell.
Much better story if they're connected to Yoko Ono, Steve. Just saying. Okay,
oh man, can you imagine the alarm you would have? She'd start screaming.
God,
Shut up!
No, stop it! No. Okay, this is what Blue sent. I'm a bit excited about this. Was out working my side gig today. With an AT&T line, trucks directing traffic, and came upon this. Since it's not associated with any official capacity, I feel it's okay to disclose that I'm getting a bit too old to care. I don't blame. Me too, Blue. Absolutely, put it out there.
And on the Facebook side, I want to say hi to Cody Turk and Michael Laciana.
Oh, welcome in. Oh, Mike. Hi, Mike, sweetie. How you doing, baby?
If you want to
Welcome in.
interact, come on over on
Come on over
the YouTube side, and a
and
little
say
bit
hey.
easier.
So yesterday they dropped the trailer in the field, flat and rocky with patches of mud and grass. This morning we got there to reattach the trailer. While doing so, we're all doing the usual standing around and talking. I just happened to look down in front of me and I see this. Unfortunately, we all had been in the area for about 30 minutes, so I'm not sure if possibly someone stepped there prior to the movement of the equipment combined with a boot print caused it or what. Since I didn't notice it before the area was contaminated, I can't say for sure, but it sure looks suspicious. It was about 8 feet from the road, facing the road, 10 feet from the phone pole. I don't want to say that name just in case. A couple of guys have big feet. They put their boot next to it, and Louis came close to the length. Size 14.
But the thing is, run around barefoot, whatever it was. Nobody,
Right.
especially somebody with a size 14, is going to run around barefoot.
That makes me a little nervous. Imagining a man with a size 14 foot run around barefoot in the wild. I'm just pause.
Well, yeah, look, it looks like he stubbed his toe on that rock there anyway. Like,
oh my goodness. There have been past reports of Bigfoot sightings close to the area, but because of the prior activity possibly tainting the scene, I am not 100% convinced it's a cryptid. See, he's being careful, and this is what you, when you're an investigator, you guys know. You would want to be like this. You would be like this, yourself. Absolutely. I cannot be definite about it, and since we had work to be done, I could not conduct a proper investigation. Thought I would put it out there and see what you guys think. Thank you so much. And now the next picture is here with the foot. Is this a big size 14? Okay, there we go. Look at that. What a difference. That's amazing. Look at the width, Steve.
Yeah.
Look at the width. Because, you're stepping down and, the way you push off. Look at that. Look at the... My goodness. I think you got something there, Blue. I don't know. What do you think, Steve?
I think so.
Thank you for sharing that so much.
Just look at the size of it. Like you said, the width.
Absolutely. Unbelievable, right? Thank you so much for sharing it. One more look. One more look. This is the first one. And you can see it there. You can actually see the toes. Great picture, Blue. I mean, honestly, right by that rock, too. It almost looks like he almost stubbed his toe on the rock. And there you go. Look at that. Boy, I'd be excited. I saw something like that, too. And this is what I mean, Steve. 50 years of this, plus whatever. Can we just say something's out there, that it exists, instead of arguing back and forth? But that's why I love that one piece of 1972 or 4, whenever it was. They didn't even bother saying whether it did or didn't. They just said, is it a man or a beast? They weren't arguing whether it exists. I just think it's time to... with the UFOs and everything else. There's obviously something going on, but there's that. So welcome in. Did we bring in any of our new people? Take good care of them, gatekeepers, all our wonderful mods out there. And if you can and have the link, drop the TeePublic. We've got great t-shirts and mugs. I won't make you look at the video tonight. Maybe next Monday I'll have a new one for you. I'm going to put new designs up there. We got all the gatekeeper designs, the logo, the crispy stuff. We've got some great episode art from special episodes that we had, like Monsters and other things like that. And I have both the mug. I know you do too, Steve. I have the
Mine's
travel
in the kitchen.
one. Travel one has a good strong lid on it and thermal. I don't have that on my website. You need a crispy on that.
Yeah, I should have put it in my cup, but I just grabbed this out of the fridge. I can say this isn't bad. I got this.
Oat latte.
I get the imperfect food deliveries.
Yeah.
And that was in the box, and
why not?
It's
Give it a whirl.
Oat milk.
Is
but
it chocolate? It looks brown.
That's a latte. It's the container's brown, but no, I don't think it has any chocolate in it.
Has it got espresso in it?
Oat milk and espresso. But I know that it's oat juice because there's no such thing as oat milk because there's no oat titty.
How do you milk an oat?
There's no oat titty. There's no soy titty. Anything you drink like that, it's soy juice or oat juice or something.
How do you milk an almond?
It's actually pretty good.
How do you milk an almond?
Very carefully.
That's what we do. We do the almond milk, and I haven't drank regular milk in, decades. I won't even get involved in that. But I'll tell you, we do the almond milk, and before that, I was doing the organic Organic milk. Now, explain to me why processed milk that's been pasteurized goes bad in like 3 to 4 days, but organic milk is good for like 6 to 8 weeks. Explain.
Yeah, go figure.
Explain that to me. You know, to give you something to think about, right? Oat lactation. I don't know. What are they talking about? They're just causing all kinds of stuff up here in the chat.
How we get oat milk?
How we get oat milk?
Put
I don't know
the
what's
oats
going
in a
on
milking machine.
What did I do? Oh, now I'm back. I'm sorry. Technical difficulty. All right, so I wanted to bring up Charles Fort. Now, let's watch this little bitty video I've got of him, and this explains a little bit. Hey, Daryl, welcome in, sweetie. A little bit of what apporting is, a little bit of what, because this man had his little paranormal hands and everything, didn't he, Steve?
He did.
And I mean, it's just amazing. And I wouldn't even have looked back and really got into this as much as Steve did, because he knows about, all about the keel and everything else. And you really introduced me a lot to that. And I was more of the Hans Holzler and, all that end on this side. And we kind of, meeting in the middle is just such a wonderful clash of information. But let's watch this. It's only about 4 minutes, and you can talk over it, Steve, if it sparks a memory or a thought or a hiccup, a fart. I don't care. Just enjoy yourself. We have fun here. Here we go. Love you, chat. Throw out some bacon and popcorn. Lots of love. I love these little guys. Woo! I gotta throw a ghost in there. It's my thing. There he is, the old codger. Charles Hoy Foyt. 1874, Steve. And there he is in all his glory, right in the middle. Right there. You're cute as a bug, ain't he? And he was born in Albany, New York in 1874 of Dutch ancestry. He looks Dutch, doesn't he? I don't know what that means.
Well, it reminds me of Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, he does. Yup, American writer specialized in anomalous phenomena. The terms Fortean and I can't even say it, Fortinia, are sometimes
Fortiana.
There you go. And all of his books include many occurrences of the sort referred to as occult, supernatural, paranormal. Reported events include teleportation, a term Fort is generally credited with inventing. Apporting. See all the stuff falling? Frogs falling?
Rains of frogs, fish, coins, a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. Let's stop it so I can read this one. The supposed paranormal transference of an object from one place to another, or the appearance of an object from an unknown source, is apporting. Apporting. Falls of frogs and fishes. Look at that, Steve. Inanimate objects. Floating objects appear from nowhere, which is creepy. And the big thing in Victorian times was flowers, plants, dogs, and even people. He's also credited with naming ball lightning. I did not know this. Look at there. A term explicitly used by Fort. Poltergeist activity and ghostly phenomenon. There's his collection of all his books. Now, when he was alive, he had one published, because most people would not accept the ones he had now, and now they're so popular. Here's some
And
of them.
there's a British magazine called Fortean Times that's still
Oh.
published to this day that's very, very good.
Now this one, The Book of the Damned, if you look at it, what you would get from the title is something completely different from what Fort meant. What he meant is this is a collection of all the phenomena he had been studying that was thrown out by the sciences, and the sciences said that they didn't exist. So they were basically damned by science. And everything in this book is stuff that we take today as paranormal, supernatural, and occulted phenomena. And all that was just some of the things, like ball lightning, the falls of the fishes, inanimate object. Remember when meat fell out of the sky in that town there, Steve?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, meat.
That was near Transylvania, Kentucky, I believe it was. Or near wherever Transylvania University is. I think it's somewhere in Kentucky. And they still have some of that meat preserved in the science or biology department there.
Yep.
Now, the theory on that is the buzzard puke theory, but I think that kind of goes along with swamp gas and all the other things they trot out to easily explain away something that's not at all what it is.
Ian's making the new people do reports. No, back. No. There will not be a test. The test, you know what the test is? Life. Life is the test. Life is the journey is the test. But I thought that was so interesting about this, the name of the book, because if I had seen that, I would have thought something totally different. Totally different. Yeah, swamp gas. Yep. And there's the 14th Society newsletter. And there he is in all his glory. The man who invented the supernatural. And I think we've got our song title, a jazzy little tune right there, By the Light of the Silvery Moon by E. Jammy Jams on Audio Library YouTube. Thank them for that. Man, that was a good little tune. All right. So there's that one, man. I mean, I had no idea, and that's just basically scratching the surface of him. What about Charles Fort did you carry with you? Because I know when we first got together, that was one of the names right off the top of your head that had...
Yeah, he's one of my biggest influences, him and John Keel. I discovered their books when I was probably 8, 9, 10 years old. And at that time, nobody was talking about them. Nobody had heard of them. They weren't even a part of the stuff that was going on then. Like you said, it was Hans Holzer and people like that. But I discovered those books. I got, I think I found books of the Damned, or I don't know, I had all of them, but I found like at the flea market in an old dime paperback size, you know, and just really latched onto it. Before it was something else. And that led me to another set of data called the Corliss. I think it was a Corliss report or something like that, where somebody had cataloged mostly anomalous weather stuff, but it kind of fell in with the science side of what Fort was doing on the paranormal side. But just the stuff that really got me was the rains of things, rocks, coins, fish, frogs, and science would try to explain it away and say, well, that they were just
tornado.
You know, the wind whipped through and picked up these frogs and dropped them here because of their specific weight and gravity. But the way Fort looked at that was, well, if it was the weight of the frogs, wouldn't anything around those frogs, say a stick or stone or anything weighing the same or less, would it have picked that up too and dropped it in the same place?
And one type of fish. You know, there's, you know, and then, well, it hit a school of fish and lifted the whole. Now, I can see that because being in Alabama and Tornado Valley, saw many a tornado, more than I did care to remember, tell you the truth. And it did pick up mail and things like that. Once it hit a Goldbro, which is like if you remember the old service merchandise, you know, where you picked out of the catalog, you went in and they had all this stuff. And they had a big jewelry store like that. And they were finding gold chains from Huntsville, Alabama in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Raining in the trees. Can you imagine? That was a lucky day for somebody pulling gold chains out of the trees. But, I've seen that. I've seen mail, wind up in Ohio from Tennessee. I mean, it's the wildest thing. I'm right there with you, Steve, as far as saying, all just meat. And AJ here, I think it was AJ, was asking, did a meat plant blow up? No. It was just rained meat.
Strips of some sort of flesh,
Yeah.
and some of it even had bristles of hair on it.
Ugh, it's so gross. And Clockwork U-Boat says, fun fact, the 14 Times was started by and still is run by an Anglican priest named Lionel Famshaw. How about that? I didn't know.
And it's an excellent magazine. I just got I think it's only published quarterly now, or maybe bi-monthly, but I just got the latest one not too long ago. But there's always good stuff in there, and it's done in a way that only the British can do things.
So good. That's why I like that Peter Underwood. And I'll pull up some more. We'll do a little bit more of Peter Underwood and Harry Price later. I've got the other half of that old newsreel too. So because there's a way that he just tells a story, and it's the music that they put with it and the mood. They can fit that mood just so quick, which is why I use the music and the ghosts and things like that, because it helps the ambiance. And Donnie says it's just obviously flying cows. So there you go. We've solved that one. And Vixen
flying cows that were shredded when they went through the portal.
They are cute. They are cute. Anything to make you guys smile. And
I'm trying to find a link here. Somebody said that on some podcast they're reading the books of the damned, and they're up to, I think, chapter 9 or something.
Oh, how cool.
I've got an audio version of it on 13 past midnight. Let me find it here, and I'll drop the link in the chat.
There you go. That's wonderful. If any of the mods can grab that. Steve, you got it?
I'm still looking for it. I couldn't remember how far back.
Fish did fall in Village, and it's happened many times. And it's
Book of the Damned. It's almost 12 hours long. So
wow.
If you've got a few hours to kill, pop on over to 13 past midnight and put this video on. And it's the Book of the Damned in its entirety. I don't remember who. Let's see. The Book of the Damned by Charles Hoy Fort, 1874, 1932. Dealing with various types of anomalous phenomena, including UFOs, strange falls of both organic and inorganic material from the sky, odd weather patterns, the possible existence of creatures generally held to be mythological, disappearances of people under strange circumstances. So, guess what, David Politis? You weren't first. And many other phenomena. This book is historically considered to be the first written in the specific field of anomalistics. And it's read by several.
That's a $15 word right there, Steve.
Anomalistics,
That's a $15 word. Usually they're $5. That one was worth $15.
Let me share it out here. I don't know if I can drop a link in your chat or not, so one of the mods may have to.
All right.
Okay, this, but there it is.
You should be able to do it. I mean, aren't you a mod?
No, I don't have a wrench. I do with 13 Pass, but I don't with Steve Stockton.
Oh my goodness. Well, we can remedy that. Are you in here?
Yep.
Say hi.
I just dropped a link.
Say hi.
Hello.
hello.
Anomalistics. Yeah, I love that. That sounds like
there you go.
Something that you calisthenics or something. I practice anomalistics.
You're all wrenched up.
There we go. And there's a link to Book of the Damned, almost 12 hours worth of 11 hours, 54 minutes.
I think it's a fantastic read. And I mean, and it did, I think I heard that too, and Edna, it did rain fish recently somewhere, and I cannot remember where. But yes, I heard that as well. There's just so much going on. I mean, rivers are running red with blood, and you're hearing all kind of the locusts are here. I mean, all kind of crazy shit. And, partly, as Alexa ever said this when he asked her what the weather, partly cloudy with a chance for bristly meat. That's a weather report I don't ever want to hear. But yeah, something else. Fort was really something else. I really want to read that. I'm going to listen to that. I'm glad you dropped the link, because that one, and he said that book, is it Loi or Loey? It's Loi, I believe. I had a picture of it in here. Let me see if I can find it again. He said that was the one that primarily dealt with.
Link. Let me try it again.
Let me see if I can get it up in here. It was right when it showed us. I love that song.
and it's got a nice little
There's all his books right there. It looks like low with an
thumbnail
exclamation point.
that I made for it. Let's see.
Let me see.
Yeah, some of his books he destroyed. He had some kind of
Yep, he did.
fit of anger one time because nobody would listen to him, and he destroyed some of his own research.
Yep, it's LO exclamation point, so it's low exclamation point.
Low, like, you know,
Yep.
whoa, what the hell's that?
Yeah, and he said that one was the one that was mostly about the things that fell from the sky. And there's a twilight zone about it. It starts out where everybody knows at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon to get under cover because the rocks are going to start to fall. Big old boulders falling out of the sky. I mean, little bitty rocks, big old boulders. And I never experienced that, but I did experience hail that was absolutely huge, going from pea size to probably softball size, believe it or not. Softball, yeah. Not baseball, softball, bigger than baseball. We had a picture of it right next to a baseball. It was bigger. And it's just amazing what nature can do. But I don't think this has to do with, I don't know. Is it nature just throwing up or something? Or, you know what I mean? Just like expelling stuff across. I mean, it'll be golf balls. And you can imagine if it's, why just golf balls? You know? And it might not be over a golf course. Did the tornado just pick them up? They've been holding them up in a, you know, high in the atmosphere. So all of a sudden it just let go. I don't know. I don't really have a theory on this one, except that it's amazing. The thing that gets me too is the hot things. The fact that it happens when you're not looking. You know, like you could turn your back and all of a sudden something drops. We've all seen the paranormal shows where all of a sudden a rock will come out of nowhere. Or, you know, now I'm not really talking about like boards and stuff falling or things like that. I'm talking about stuff appearing from nowhere and being chucked at somebody, like Steve was talking about. Mm-hmm. And also the sounds, similar throughout, and also the scorching. Now, you and I did a great interview. If you haven't heard this interview, it was about 2.5 hours with the Bothell Hell House and Keith Linder. And that house had so much apporting going on, as many things that we talked about. But the one that stumped Steve and I know you're going to remember what, there was 2 of them in that. Well, actually, probably 3. It was the dryer was closed, and he had wet clothes in there, and all of a sudden he started to hear a thunk, 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 and he couldn't imagine what was in it. And it was the cross, a wooden cross that had been gifted to him and blessed. He hung it above his bed, and when he hung it, he said, this ought to do it. This ought to get you. See how you, because he's a real antagonizer as well. I can say that because I know Keith. But he when he hung it up, he specifically said, you're going to really like this, or, you know, let's see how you like this, something like that, antagonistic. And he goes downstairs, starts the laundry, puts the laundry, like I said, the wet laundry in the dryer, is sitting down at his computer off in another room, and he hears the thunk, 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 thunk. And sure enough, when he opened that dryer to see if he had left his something in a pocket or something else, it was the cross he had just hung upstairs over his bed and antagonized whatever it was in the house. That was the one that got me, as well as, I mean, that gave me chills, man. The one that perplexed Steve and I so much was the drawer. Now he opens everybody's got a junk drawer, utility drawer that you've got in your kitchen that you put your big stuff in, like your big spoon, the good meat, you know, fork and all that stuff in one drawer, and you keep it separate from the little things. He opens it, he takes out a spoon, he goes to stir something. A few minutes later, I forget how long he said, goes to reach, decides he needs something else, opens the drawer again, and all this mail is in there. He had been losing mail. Didn't quite put it together, but that wasn't all it was it, Steve? It was mail from past residents who had lived in that house, 5 different families.
Probably years, decades worth of missing mail, and all of a sudden it's crammed into this junk drawer. Then he knows he didn't put it there, and it wasn't there when he moved in.
Oh my gosh. So. Oh my gosh. He was just in. Yeah, you've got mail, Micah. He was just in the damn drawer. And he said when he opened it, it was so jammed full of mail, it kind of splued out like it was
Yeah.
just all shoved in there.
It was amazing.
Oh my God. We went over and over and over that. In fact, I got comments on that and said, how long are you going to talk about the mail? As long as I freaking want to.
It
That's
was
right.
fascinating, though.
Fascinating. There's so many levels to that. That's mail that other families had taken.
And he said it was everything like bills, Christmas cards, letters
Everything.
from friends and family members and stuff that,
Important shit, too.
probably just people thought, it got lost in the mail or it never showed up or whatever, yet here it all was at one time.
Welcome in, Sapphire Elf. How you doing, darling? Absolutely. And it was just... So you're thinking that people over decades have got this mail taken. Where were they holding it? And why this moment to take all of it, jam it in a drawer, so when he opens it again, it's and just all over the floor. Absolutely blew my mind. So that was another thing. And we're hearing this stuff about things being apported, being a little scorched. So I've got this other little video I'm going to play. Now, this lady, Annette, I would go check out her videos. It's fantastic. Like I said, it doesn't look like she's posted anything for about 4 years. And it's a shame because her other videos are so great. And I hope that maybe this sponsor some go over there and sub or something. She'll be, maybe say a few good comments on her stuff. She'll put out some more because she looks like an absolutely lovely human being. So she's going to tell a little story that's very similar to something that happened to me. And then we've got a little clip of Zariah, you'll be able to tell, and his talk. So definitely go over there and sub to Zariah Askath, Where Did the Road Go? And because that whole thing sparked tonight's conversation, Steve. Steve thought it was a great conversation. It was so in-depth. This is just a tiny little clip of it. So without further ado, unless you got something you want to say first, Steve.
No, let's do it.
Let's do her. Here we go.
Today is apports. Apport, in Danish it's apport as well as apport. Apporter, it means actually to bring or to fetch or to get. And I want to speak about things that are arriving in front of me from out of the blue. It can't happen. It's impossible. Some of you will think that. And I will say yes, it is impossible. But nevertheless, it happens. It haven't happened a lot, but the times it happened, have happened. This is my second language. I learned English from a book, so bear with me.
And I love her.
When it have happened, actually, I tell you, you never forget. Because me, I'm just in an adjacent room with like open doors, and then my assistant were doing all the teaching and dancing at the same moment. So we were actually in a room of, 25 people. But me and Barbara was stepping aside and, to this little adjacent room. And she put on the blouse and, I looked and, it fitted her. And there was a bang, loud bang. And, I remember that I was going, oh! I got such a shock, even though there was not loud music, but music next to us. This loud bang. It came from this crystal. And this crystal came through the ceiling, in between me and Barbara, and landed on the floor, on the wooden floor, with a loud bang. And it was not because it came fastly through the air in between us, it was the sound of it. And I was, and Barbara was, and we looked down, and in front of our toes, in between us, the little heart was on the floor. My first reaction was, did you lose a heart, a stone? Did you lose this, Barbara? And she was like, she was shocked because of the sound.
I love this lady. We need to have her as a guest.
I know.
And she had tights on and a blouse. She had no pockets, no hat, no jacket. She had nothing on. And who would have like this one tucked in your ear, or I don't know, where should it have been, in the mouth? No. She said, no, it's not mine. And I was like, no, I needed an explanation. And I said, Barbara, this is yours. It just fell out of, your hair. It's yours. You just dropped it. And she was like, no, because she was in a state of shock. And I picked that was something of its own. This was like in my business. I was not in a ceremony. I was not sitting with spiritualists or attending healing sessions or talking spiritual matters with anybody. I was in a normal state of mind. I was in my working state of mind with a young girl in front of me, and this apport just came through time, through space, through the ceiling, all out of midair. I can't tell where it came from out of midair, but it came from up there, just landed in between our legs or feet.
Now that's her, Annette Sahara. That is her YouTube channel. That's just a short little clip of her video on apporting or apporting. And like, I guess I speak Danish now because that's how they say it. But I just love these people. I've found so many on YouTube that say, please forgive me, this is my second or my third language. And, you know, you look at the comments and somebody will say, well, you know, learn to speak English. Hold on, wait a minute. This lady speaks like 4 languages. Stop it. You know what I mean? It's just, you know, it's in her comments. I can't believe how rude people can be, because I think her expressions and her honesty is just amazing. Now, what she's holding is, we've all seen it. If you're familiar with crystals, will be like a little heart-shaped crystal. And I love how many apporting stories I've heard over the past 3 or 4 days about crystals, almost like you're being gifted a crystal. I don't know, I'm just spitballing here. Gifted a crystal you might need. Now, the one she held up was either, I can't tell whether it's a kunzite or an amethyst. I would have guessed either one of those. I kind of get that energy off it when she showed the picture of it. But it's in a little shape of a heart. And the story that I kept spinning through it so you wouldn't be drunk because it went on for 20 minutes. But she basically she's a dance teacher for children. And in her town, she had a couple of people who couldn't really afford to put their kids into dance school. So she pays for those kids without anybody knowing it. Tells the parents that she teaches for free, that she's independently wealthy or something, and that she just does this for free so they won't even be embarrassed. What a kind soul, because she says it's more important for these children to have that moment in their week of dance and to connect with the music and themselves and their own energy. And she was telling her sister about this just right beforehand, and the sister was like a little angry and said, you're not gonna, you know, your business isn't gonna go through the roof if you do this. She goes, yes, but my soul will. Love that. Love that. And she said the children's souls will soar because they're all together doing this high energy thing. Love that. And right after that, she was in front of the girl. Barbara was a girl that she had done this for, and she was helping her with her uniform. They all wore costume, and she was helping make sure that it fit and everything. So the little girl wasn't wearing anything but leotards. There's no place to hide that. It didn't fall out of her hair, as she said, or out of her ear or her mouth, and it just went right between them with a thunk. She heard the thunk. Not just a hit like the stone dropping, but a different audible thump. And I'm hearing this a lot, Steve, with that you heard when you were getting rocks thrown at you too, didn't you? You heard like a...
Yeah, I heard like popping and a crackling, and
Yep.
there was like a sizzling or a electricity, like a shorting out type noise.
Yeah. I mean, it's just something that's common in that, you know, and that's the kind of stuff I stop on. Wait a minute, I've heard that before in another story. It's another thing that kind of clicks stuff together. But anyway, there she is, Annette Sahara. If you want to hear the whole story, it's in there. But as she was expressing, it was the timing of the sharing of the love, doing something good. And here's this little heart stone, of course, you know, heart referring to love. And that's how she took it. And she also explains that you should go with your first sense when you get something like that, which is what I explained about my birthday penny, or the sound, the audible change of the sound of the left turn signal on my grandfather's car. And then I had the same day at work, the very same day, all of a sudden out of nowhere, I start whistling this song. You just start. I'm not a whistler. You know what I mean? And it was just weird. I had this little whistle song going on, and then I kind of got the tune, do 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 do, and I'm like, "What is that?" And then I realize it's "Let Me Call You Sweetheart." No, wait a minute, I'm wrong. It was love is driving me bananas. It's your red heart, your red scarf matches your eyes, clothes covered before striking. Father's got a shipment of the blues, and loving you is driving me bananas. This is the song from like 1938 that pops into my head. And then I remember it's the song my grandmother used to teach me when we were walking. If we weren't walking in the woods, we were walking to the corner store down the highway, and she would sing that song to me. So I got a message from my mom, my grandfather, and my grandmother all within 2 days on my birthday. Birthday week. So why would you talk yourself out of that? If you can have these, experiences and open your mind, because even Annette in this video says that your doubt will block it. I think that's very important, Steve. What do you think?
Indeed, I agree.
I just love her. And I wanted to go back up here. There's a lot of good comments being said, and I'm sorry I'm missing some of them, but Blue said something I thought was kind of important. It was about something about, okay, here it is right here.
I'll be right back. I got to step away for a second.
Sure, honey. If there are micro black holes appearing and disappearing, then why not micro portals appearing and disappearing? It makes as good a sense as any, Blue, honestly. I'm a firm believer in portals. I mean, I was kind of raised that way, so it was a little bit more, I was a little more at easing into, is it possible some of these missing people are going into, walking into portals? I've heard many. Barry Fitzgerald tells a great story about portals, to the point where he was standing right in front of it. It looked like almost like a heat mirage coming up from a hot highway in the summer. We all know what that looks like. You look ahead and you see like the heat rising off the pavement. It kind of looked like that, but in the air, right in front of them, like it was just a curtain of this heat mirage kind of thing, but more wavy, like you're looking through water, almost water moving. And he just reached in and he stuck his hand in it up to his elbow, and he said he wanted to go further, but he was so scared that you put it in your hand, that somebody was just going to grab it and pull you in. So he pulled it back out, and he said it was very cold. This is where I got Joe Parker walking into the portal in Cabin 22. Like I said, there are many stories in that book that actually happened to people. And I've talked to them about it. And they expressed to me how that felt. And, I want to go through it, but I'm so scared I can't get back. So that's one. So I have no problem believing in the portals. Now, where is the stuff coming from? That gets me. Like, when you put your keys down on the table, everybody's got a place they put their keys, in their pocket or on their dresser or on the table in the hallway or on the hook by the door or whatever. You put your keys there. You do it all the time, mindlessly, muscle memory. You just do it. And you look down and they're gone, right? Now, where did they go? And are they coming back? Now, Keith Linder would tell stories about this, and we're going to get Keith on here live one night so you guys can ask him questions. It's going to be a really long one, because to hear the story and really get all the aspects of it, and he's been going on since, and more stuff has happened. And there's so much learning material there in that story, both human characteristics and how they react to things, outside people and how they react to people that are going through this, paranormal investigators and how they conduct themselves, and how, things that they do can ripple effect and cause, harm or cause good, either way. There's so many things in the story, amazing things, and lots of study, like case studies on the things that are on the wall, the things that were left, things that apported and disappeared again. But one of the big things that was happening to him, now imagine this. Imagine, if you will, you are a man, a professional man, Okay, he goes to an office every day. He has a titled job in a company where if this got out, it could hurt him. Okay, let's just put it that way. We don't have that kind of nonsense in this business, that kind of thing. You know, you have to keep up appearances, all right? Now, he was making enough money to move into this home with his girlfriend, longtime girlfriend. They finally decided to buy a nice home. And he was driving nice cars, both of them. And they had the kind of car, at the time, it would have been pretty expensive because it was just coming out when all the story was just starting, where you actually had just the key fob to get in and out of your car, and you could start it. You can do all this different stuff with the key fob. Very important. You have to have that to get in your car. That would go missing. Well, he's got to get another one. It's not cheap. All right? He gets it. He gets all that stuff taken care of. 24 hours later, it's gone again. The new one is gone. He's got to do it again. 3, 4, 5 days later, it happens again. And like I said, you can buy backups. These things weren't cheap. So at first you think, I'll just get 2 of them and hide one. Well, who are you hiding it from? What can they see? Who's they? Who's doing this? You see what I mean? Psychological. You know, it's psychological torture. It really is. This kind of stuff will break somebody. You know, think about it. Now, intermittently through this, if it's not the key fob to get to his car, which is making him late to work, which is making him have to call somebody, to a locksmith, or he's got to go to the car dealer and get another one. All of that takes just time and money, and you're just agitated, and then you're nervous. Can you imagine? Well, what are you going to do? Are you going to lock it somewhere? Can it get inside a safe? I don't know. Try it and see, right? What can take a cross off the wall upstairs, and by the time you're downstairs, start the dryer, sit down at your laptop, without the door opening and closing to the dryer, the cross is inside, starts making the boom, 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 boom. It didn't even stop the dryer. It just kept going. So it's not like the dryer stopped and the door opened and he heard that and then the cross went in and it started up again. Without messing with the cycle of the dryer, it got it in there and it thunk it around. I can't explain it. So now it's not the keys. The next day, it's his wallet. Just disappears. Now it's got all his credit cards, his money. He's got to go replace all that stuff. Think about it. If you had to replace everything in your wallet this week, how much time would you have to take off from work to do that? You see what I'm saying? You got to take off from work to go to the Social Security, go to the DMV, think about it. Credit card companies you're calling, all this different stuff. You wait, you get all that stuff back up and get everything back in, and then bam, they do it again. Psychological torture. At about 8 times. I think that happened to him. He said 8 times at least when I talked to him. And then after the fact, it's happened again. No matter where he goes. So the wallet thing is just something that just makes him absolutely crazy. And a lot of these things you can't just go give me 2 Social Security cards, give me 2 driver's licenses, give me, it's crazy. But it's also, it can be used in an evil way too. Because I know tonight we were talking a lot about the kindness, that heart she got. Not only was it if it was a kunzite or an amethyst, both. Now you guys, I know we've got people in here. Is Cass in here, Grey Wolf? Because I know she knows gemstones off the top of her head, quite a few of them. But I know amethyst is to ward off negativity and to also aid in communication with spirit and multiple other things. Really wonderful chakra gemstone. I've got one right here. Absolutely beautiful. I don't know if you're able to see it on light, but I've got a really big one in the other room. But here it is here. Let me see. We can see. It's a beautiful purple color with the crystals. And this one's a really nice one that was gifted to me because it does have the crystals with it too. And I keep my great big one. This is my Harvey wall banger. That crystal that was gifted to me. How beautiful that is with all the nice points on it. And the thing about that is quartz crystal magnifies your other crystals and gemstones. So cool. So, when you start, learning the language of crystals, it really helps you out. Well, I think that crystal, it was really meant to show we're here, we're listening, what you're doing out of love, whatever. It was for both the people it happened to. It was for her and for Barbara, except it scared Barbara so much because she had no idea where it came from. The lady kept it, and she basically said she kept it for both of them to remember that little girl too. So there you go. I think, the feathers and the pennies and things that I've gotten, absolutely, are times when I needed it the most. It was for you. Like Steve's grandmother told him when he was little, sometimes you see things that are just for you. And sometimes you're going to see things that are for other people, and you can witness that, but you're witnessing for a reason. So as his grandmother told him, and as my great-grandmother and grandmother told me, a lot of these things are for everybody in the room, and some of them are just for you. But I guarantee you, as it's going on, one thing can mean multiple things to several people. And I think that's the same thing as when you're getting a reading from a medium, and he's doing a group in a room like Artie does, or Claire, or some of my other friends that will do that. Sometimes they're getting a message from spirit on this side that has extra, more energy and can be heard because they have more energy and can project their thoughts better. But it's actually also a multiple message for many people in the room, because maybe their people don't have that energy to get through, so they're also putting forward words on that too. What is going on in the chat? You guys are having a ball. What wards off what? I don't wear any gold either. I think it's all cursed. Sapphire, I couldn't agree more. Gold, I was always turned away from gold. My sister owned a jewelry store for like 31 years, and we always joked, 32 years, sorry. She'd probably smack me. She was the gold and diamond lady, and I was the amethyst, the onyx and hematite and silver and a turquoise girl. We're two completely opposite ends of the spectrum. But we both held those things like they were almost like, I want to say, mine was almost sacred to me, and I was drawn to those things. But, in the Native American, you think about it, just practical, logical sense. What are you going to use, out of the ground? You're going to use, if you're hunter-gatherers, you're going to use what's around you, right? Well, silver is much more malleable, and it's much harder, and things can be made out of it. Gold was absolutely worthless. It's too soft. It was, so that's why everything you see mostly in tribal native culture is silver and something else. Right? And I always laughed at that, for that opening thing in Pocahontas Disney, for God's sake. But when they came, where they actually acted that part out well when the explorers got off the ship and bumped into the natives that were here. They said, well, we're here for that, the golden treasure that's in the ground. We're here to collect that. And, and they're all go, what are you talking about? And the natives are all talking to each other, and they're talking to each other. The communication breakdown. They finally get through, it's yellow and it comes out of the ground, and it's very, valuable. And the natives think they're talking about corn because gold didn't mean shit to us. Do you hear that, Steve?
Yep.
So I agree. What do you got to say about that, buddy?
Well, I've got a special guest coming in to join us. If he can
oh, wow, great.
Find his way in here. It'll be a surprise for you.
Absolutely.
But, I sent him the link. Let's see if he comes in. You can hear him when he comes backstage, I think.
Oxidation, mostly oxidation doesn't seem
and
to
did you know you
That's
still
true.
got Annette Sahara's stuff up there?
I got what? Yep, I do. I wanted to finish
Okay.
playing it. We got Zariah's little piece here. So we're going to play that
Didn't know there
through.
was more of it.
Yep, I waited for you because I didn't know if you could hear. I wanted you to hear this part.
Yeah, I had to take Mulder out, and I'm watching two little French bulldogs
Oh, how fun!
for a friend of mine that's a judge. Normally, they sit under the bench when she's in court.
Right.
Good little dogs, but they went wild when they went outside. I had trouble getting them back in.
Oh, man. I got friends like that, man. You let them out of the car, and they're like deaf Jack Russells. You can't get them back in. Because you can see, you could call them, but they're not going to. Yeah, anyway. Think about that way. Listen to this.
Okay, surprise guest, if you're listening, go ahead and click that link, and that'll bring you backstage.
That'd be awesome.
We'll bring you on.
Okay, so this is a clip from Zariah.
So the board started going round and round and round and round, and this was the pattern for an apport usually. And these were fun times for us, real fun times, trying to hang on to the glass when it was going round and round, hanging on and looking at each other and sort of laughing a little bit, and it stopped. And the long story short is, Addie said to us, go next door. And we said, where is it? Where's the apport? Underneath and it was something like, the stone that is green underneath the red something. And it was this bit of a rhyming couplet, which almost rhymed if you sort of bent the letters a bit. And we went next door and we thought, yeah, clever bit coming up here. It's going to be under the greenstone book, which was on the chaise lounge. And it wasn't. And we pulled back the cover and it wasn't underneath there. We pulled back the chaise lounge and all you got was a red carpet. There was nothing. And we thought, oh, okay. There's a slight moment of disappointment.
Sure.
And Anne said, she's probably mucking us around a bit. It sounds like one of her jokes. And we walked, as we turned round and walked back into the kitchen, and suddenly turned round. This is what happens. You get this nudge. It's something like something grabs your shoulders, turns you around, and it was there. And it was an obelisk. I'll send you a picture of this. It was an obelisk, probably about 6 or 7 inches long, lilac blue, and it actually looks like a mixture of lapis lazuli. It looks a bit like amethyst, and it looks a bit crystal. And we never had it analysed to see what it was, although people have said it was, I'm not well up on crystals and things like that, but we have had people look at it and go, oh yeah, I know what this is. And it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And it was that moment where your back is turned and it's there. And I wonder if it's to do with this whole sort of quantum physics thing about observing the experiment and then turning away and it becomes something else. We didn't know what we were going to get. We had no idea whatsoever. Nobody said, you're going to get an apport. This is what it's going to be. We never had that once. It was always a surprise, the things we got. I hadn't included the book. I never heard of an apport, a book arriving, And just as a quick one, Addie said, this is the Rock of Darth, which you'd know from the Kabbalah.
Okay. All right. So as far as books appearing, what brings to mind is the Seattle, what are they calling it? The Seattle Demon House or wherever, where he had Bibles appearing.
Oh.
And they would always be singed, and they couldn't replicate that. I forget the Steve, what's his name, from the UK. When he was doing the research, they couldn't replicate the singeing of the Bible without the whole thing going up.
Yeah, I know.
So my question to you, though, is when you have these apports, were they warm to the touch afterwards?
Some of them did feel like that. There was some we had later outside of Corley Hall, which appeared like that. I mean, the photograph. I mean, I think you've probably seen that by now. I think I might have sent you one of those. The best thing was and it was a recording that Greg used. It was the photograph appearing, and Ange had done a drawing, and we had to go in and look at this drawing on an easel. Addie said, top right, I am top right. You wanted to know what I look like. And we had an apport of a photograph of a school photo, sepia with little.
Well, there you go. And he said basically, I didn't mean to cut it off there, sepia with burnt edges. And we have got a surprise guest in here. And boy, what a surprise. Come on in here. It's Mark Anthony Wyatt. Hi, honey.
There he is.
How are you?
Hi, hello, Sysco.
What side of the pond are
Steve.
you on, my friend?
I'm on your side.
Are you really?
I am, yeah. Long
Glad-
story. I won't
glad to
go
have you.
into it.
Yeah, glad to have you on the team, my friend.
Thank
How
you.
are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I was just listening to. Obviously I've just arrived here, and I came in halfway through a conversation. Who are the guys that were talking just now? Really interesting stuff about the Apports.
Right, that is Zariah Ascath from Where Did the Road Go, and Charles Topham. And
Right.
he did two great interviews with Zariah, and this one was mostly about the Apports. And
Okay.
we were talking about how sometimes the Apports come and they're warm to the touch. We had a famous
Yeah.
thing in a village out there by Cornwall where the apples were flying around the house, and the old gent picked it up, and it was hot to the touch. He had to put it back
Okay.
down. So different things like that, and books and photographs and paper items coming back
Yes,
singed.
yeah.
Have you heard this?
I didn't know about the Cornish one. I should do. I didn't.
Yeah.
I have heard of Apports, but I've never had any knowingly had any personal experience, I should say. I had a strange thing happen today, literally today, this afternoon,
Oh, do tell.
which it's I don't know where to start with it. It's peculiar. I don't know where to start with this really, because there's two options as to, well, maybe three options, maybe. Okay, so I was sat in my cellar, and I was writing and researching stuff, and I was sort of in the zone. Hey, Donnie.
Mix the doses, woohoo!
Hello. Sorry, I'm terrible. I get put off easily.
It's okay.
So I'm sat there at the desk, and I'm studying, really sort of get in the zone, as I say. And I had my hair, as you can see, I don't know if you can see, it's really long at the moment. I had my hair in one of those little elastic band, I don't know what you call them, just like a little ring, but holds it in a pony at the back so it doesn't get in my eyes and in my face, when
Right.
I'm trying to work at a desk. And they do work themselves loose. I understand that. They do work themselves loose. But I was facing into the wall under the stairs where I've got my desk, and I'm working away. I'm just in the zone. All of a sudden, the band that was on my, what do you call it, pigtail, ponytail, arrives on, it is literally like thrown. That's what it looked like. It arrived on my desk about sort of 18 inches in or something like that. It just arrived and it landed on an A4 pad, like a writing pad. And I just cannot understand. There was no one in the room with me. And there is a history to this, but
Wow.
it just arrived. Now, if it had worked itself loose, which it does, it would have fallen either onto my shoulder, into my hoodie. I've got a hoodie on, the same one,
Okay.
or gravity would have just taken it to the carpet. But this thing somehow went from the back of my head
Yeah.
onto the middle of the desk in front of me. And it really took my breath away. I couldn't believe
That's
it.
incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it got there. It was literally thrown where, it looked like it came down with as far as you can say something that light can come down with any force. But it sort of came down. It just went bang. Well, not literally, but you know what I'm saying. Now, there's two things that there's more than two probably. So when my girlfriend's son, he's a builder, he came round must be nearly a year ago now, to sort some plumbing out. And when he was down in the cellar, he found a little bottle, which I've still got, like a gin bottle. And we sort of had a discussion about it, and it had obviously been up there for years and years. It's a very, very old house. And we think that it was someone who his wife probably didn't know he was a drinker, and he was hiding the bottle in the cellar, going, in the past, maybe 70, 80 years ago, whenever it was. And we think he was hiding it on the top of the brick wall of the cellar. There's like a space. And this is where my girlfriend's son found it. Now, I cleaned it up, and I put it on display with some other, nice bottles and bits and pieces in my cellar office. in the same area where we found it, but now it's all screened out as a nice little cozy little study, you know. And I, for some time, every now and again, when I'm working down there, I suddenly get quite cold, and I'll feel that, you know, get that tingle when you know something's around you. And I felt it today, and well, it's just, I think it might be whoever was responsible for the, I think they, it sounds crazy maybe, but I think they know, you know, it's their space, and I think they come back and they see me there probably and wonder who I am and what I'm doing. And I actually recently put the bottle back where it was found, because I thought, well, maybe that's the issue. Maybe they want me to put it back. So I'd put it back there only a few days ago. Now, I don't know whether, you know, whether this was them saying to me, oh, thanks for putting it back, or why isn't it on display like it was, you know?
Right.
I don't know which it is.
You don't know what to do. Yeah.
No, that's right. I've got no idea. And the other idea I had, which is a lot simpler, is that, I mean, I feel I can say these things in front of you because you guys all think similarly, you know. Yeah, you've heard it all. But I think when I was younger, my dad he was an ex-Royal Air Force guy, and he loved really, really short hair. And he wanted me to have really short hair. So in the 70s, when we wanted it long, he would send me off down to barbers to get my hair cut. And I would come back having said to the barber, don't take too much off, mate. I don't want it much off, you know. And my dad would send me back to say, I thought you wanted your hair. I thought I told you to get your hair cut, you know. I'd be sent back in disgrace, like to have it finished, and to have like a number 1 cut or something, and which I hated. And he always was a little bit like that because he had this Air Force, you know, military past. And he used to sort of make jokes about my hair. You know, he'd sort of say, oh, you're turning into Shirley Temple and stuff like this, you know. So it was his generation, you know. And I wondered whether he would have found it hilarious that I had a ponytail. He would have thought that was very girly. And yeah. And I'm wondering whether he was sort of slipped it off and just threw it on the desk in disgust. You know.
Well, my question is, you said you were writing on a pad there. Did it fall on the pad? And if so, was it any particular word or phrase?
Oh, good question.
No, there wasn't actually. But it just, you know, it sounds horrible, but it had a few sort of my hairs in it, you know. At my age, it starts falling out, you know. So, but no, it didn't really. Although I'm working on some stuff. This is probably not connected, but I'm working on a sort of crossover between sort of culture and the paranormal, the sort of murky sort of area between the two, where the paranormal sort of seeps into the mainstream more, you know, like art and music and so on, like weird fiction, for example. And I'm sort of working on all that, and how a lot of these people like Macken and Blackwood and all these people who wrote the weird fiction, a lot of those people had strange experiences themselves, and they were very conversant with like the fairyland and all the, you know, all the fairy stuff, and I'm sort of looking into all that stuff, and I've got a list of names, which comes back to what Steve was saying. I've got a list of names written down of people that I'm sort of digging into, and I'll bore you with all the details, but I was sort of showing I was trying to sort of work out some sort of poetic link to put in the, you know, in a piece of an intro sort of thing, which I've discarded. But I was going to say from Dickens to Dicks, because it's like, you know, Charles Dickens wrote some brilliant ghost stories.
Absolutely. Love him.
My favorite
writer.
I love the Signal Man. That's my favourite. I always
Present
go back
company
to
accepted, by the way.
it.
But
Of
Dickens,
course.
name the cat after him. I mean,
Oh, right.
fantastic ghost stories. And he always had a more, the more. I like him because he was a whistleblower. He was blowing a whistle on everybody. Royalty, the prisons, everything.
Yeah.
The rich, the poor, everything. The workhouses. I
And
love
just
Dickens.
out of that set, you mentioned Blackwood. There's also like
Yeah.
James and Jerome K. Jerome.
Yes. Yeah.
Just some brilliant
Yeah.
ghost
Yeah.
stories out of that time. And I
Yeah.
think they did one of those guys, can't remember which one, was a member of the psychical research group
That
back
was
before their
Macon, I think you find.
yeah.
Yeah, I
And
believe so. Yeah.
a lot of his stories were inspired by things that he truly experienced. So
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really. I mean, I'm very late to this weird fiction. I mean, sure.
and I'm with you on the
Yeah.
long hair. You can't really tell because I'm wearing a dark hoodie, but my hair is longer than my beard now.
Absolutely.
Seeing how long I can get it. But my dad was the same way. He was a World War II veteran,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
and my hair got kind of long. He'd say, "You're gonna wear your hair like that. You better get your frilly pair of drawers to go with it."
That sounds exactly the same. Yeah.
Yep. Donnie says here, and this is absolutely important. According to the raw material, longer hair
Yep.
actually aids in psychic sensibility.
Yeah.
So
Samson.
many cultures.
Yep,
So
exactly.
many
Samson,
cultures.
his power was in his hair.
Yeah, that's right.
Native Americans,
Yeah.
the Chinese with their the tail and everything. It goes
Yeah.
in just so many directions about the sensitivity of it. Like you said, Samson and Delilah, the whole
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
He lost his power when she cut his hair.
They're
I
like
mean,
antenna.
yeah, and I try to explain to people too, in a lot of tribal cultures, we don't cut our hair unless we cut it for mourning or something like that, where we're throwing it into the fire. And, you definitely don't want anybody to get a hold of your hair, because in so many different practices, they can use that to actually put spells on you and curses and
Yeah.
things like that. Hair is really important, and I think you're onto something with the dad, though. I mean, that would be something that he was telling you about it. And
Yeah.
you said nothing was written on the page, so it wasn't to emphasize
Not
anything.
really.
On the,
Well, not
Yeah.
on the piece where it landed, but I had just been thinking about this from Dickens to Dick's. Like PK. Actually, not Dick's, as it's Dick.
yeah.
And funny enough, I was going to use that, and I mentioned it to Janice, and she said, "Oh, you can't use that." She said it sounds pornographic, And it's like, and
Yeah.
I can't help what people think. It's like I was talking about the folklore, the Cornish folklore, the other day, and we were thinking about titles and things, and it's funny. It's like whenever I mention knockers, the little knockers in the mines, it
The
always
Tommy
sets,
knockers.
yeah, it always sets someone off.
Yeah,
Well, there you
knockers
go.
has a different connotation in some places.
It certainly does.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's incredible that you just had that happen today. Though.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think that's true. I think apporting can be just about anything. We talked before you came in. We talked about many mentions of rain coming down, water coming down from the ceiling out of nowhere. We're talking about Keith Linder and the Bothell Hell House and the Bibles that would apport, but they were burning around the edges and then would just go out. So it wouldn't be like a spontaneous combustion where the whole book would go up. It would just be singed around the edges, and these photographs that are coming through are singed. So if the things are hot, like that would retain heat, like the rocks, and even in this other case, the apples and things like that, that makes sense. So where are they getting this heat from? I mean, is it... does it create heat when something gets its molecular structure changed? I mean, I'd be interested to see if that was part of like a Philadelphia experiment, or like we always say, beam me up, Scotty. I mean, if it's making you all hot, I mean, it's crazy to think.
I presume it's coming through dimensions, as however we want to. I presume it's coming through some like portal or whatever, and in like, as I presume that's what you mean. It's when it's coming through, maybe it's picking up heat, but like it doesn't maintain it. So
True.
That seems
It's like
familiar.
there's a friction or something from where it's traveling from one place to the other that heats it up.
Well, even tires are going to get hot if they're spinning on the road. I mean, all that kind of thing. It makes so much sense, though. But then you've got people apporting from one place to another. There's things like that. So what happens to we know from the Philadelphia experiment that some of the soldiers, or I keep saying soldiers, some of the sailors actually melded with the ship. I mean, the reports on that is just amazing.
I know. I remember reading that. I read a few things. There was Ghost Boat, wasn't there? Wasn't that?
That's another one.
Was that based? Is that a different one?
That's a Ghost Boat. Well, there's Ghost Ship, which was a movie done, I think, in the 40s. Then they redid it, and I think the early 2000s, late 90s, and it was, it was okay. The original was really good. The story is really good. But the Philadelphia experiment was actually done right after the war. Here, and they were trying to make a whole battleship invisible, so cloaking.
Yes, yeah.
And make it materialize 25 miles and go to another place without being seen. But they did something different. Einstein was involved in this and everything else, and it worked too well. And when they came back, when they rematerialized, they were all melted into the ship. And some
into
of
the
them,
steel.
even the ones that weren't, started to flicking it out, like glitch in real life. And they took them all and they put them in, of course, a lab to study them like lab rats until they died.
Yeah, I went through
Lovely
years
story.
thinking that this. Yeah, I went through years thinking that it was all fiction and it was all wishful thinking or whatever. And then you see these people. I think Fortean Times. What's the word? Rubbished it. I can't think of the proper word. I can't think of it offhand. But
Debunked.
Yeah, debunked. That's it.
Right.
But I think there's people that just can't accept this stuff, so they jump on that. It was debunked, therefore, And I've come round to, especially recently, of sort of reading stuff that they've had technology for years where they can fiddle around with stuff and like rays and stuff that they can fire at properties and we could go into 9/11 for a start off. They've been working on stuff behind the scenes. I honestly think they have.
Oh yeah.
And we don't know half of what they've got, but
I mean, the stuff that I know off the top of my head is the total tonnage of the crap that I know. Just, I mean, it's something that has to be true. Project Bluebeam, Project Looking Glass, HAARP,
Looking Glass,
CERN,
that was it,
CERN.
Remember those fires in California a few years ago where the trees burned from the inside out? There were houses that burned to the ground, yet the
Direct
shrubs
energy
planted
weapons.
around the house weren't even singed.
Direct
If
energy weapons.
If you look at Where Did the Towers Go, that's got some amazing pictures in it. I can't remember her name now, but she's from. I actually met her in the High Wycombe, I think it was. Do you know Andrew Johnson?
Maybe.
Yeah, he's really, really up on that.
Yeah, studying the direct energy weapons and
all the cars that were around the towers. I saw coloured photographs, detail on them. Amazing things had happened to the cars, which and like at some distance from the buildings, and it's just like, well, fire's not going to do that to a car. Not what.
And it's also not going to absolutely turn. People forget that there was almost like a little city underneath of it because so many things go on underneath. And down there, they also had a huge. I don't want to say a workroom because it was more than that, but they had huge heavy machinery down there that was solid iron, and this stuff was like. All of this just turning to dust. Toilets turning, porcelain turning to dust. There's definitely something going on there because jet fuel doesn't burn that high. This doesn't. And you've got for years, the group of lawyers and engineers, I think, attorney and engineers.
Yeah, Richard Gage.
Yep, and they're all going, and they've got all of the stuff. I've got friends who actually helped build Building 7. They were actually working on that building, and they said, look, the way that thing was built. And now Building 7 went down. And, for people to look at, you show them I forget what BBC television station it was, but
I
the
remember
girl
that. Yeah,
standing there.
Caroline Stanley.
There it is, yep. And she's
Yeah.
standing there saying the building 7 is now knocked down. It's sitting right behind her, and
Yeah.
as she's talking, it goes down.
Yeah, she was working from a script.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
I assume she was.
Yeah.
It's just beyond. It's beyond me. I mean, I looked
Absolutely.
into all that stuff years ago, and you at some point you just put it down and think, well, I'm not going to know, and I just didn't want to get into conversations with people that wouldn't
hard.
accept it, and
Yeah.
so I
It
just
is
put
hard.
it away and concentrate on stuff that's more fun.
Yeah. And here AJ is saying hair is like a radio antenna. In a lot
Yeah.
of ways, that could very well be true. Very well be true. And many cultures believe that. And yep, I agree with you, Lynn. And I will end it by saying, in the words of the fantastic Jim Mars, show me the damn airplane at the Pentagon. Show me put it back together in the hangar, and I'll shut up. And he passed before anybody could show him the plane.
Yeah,
So,
it was just a big groove in the earth, wasn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, it's amazing to me what people can put on TV, and others will just, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
And you got to question everything, I think,
Yeah,
But
definitely.
I've heard a lot of good ideas here. Blue was saying, radiation could, heat up these things, and I think all of these theories are plausible, but we still don't know who's doing it and why, because it's coming good and it's coming bad. I think in most cases, the stuff we've talked tonight were good things, like the feather I found in a locked car that wasn't there when I parked it, on the dashboard, and the penny on my seat. And I have one that I've told before, but probably my best apport was when I was taking a picture of the window outside my son's hospital room. And I know that sounds crazy, but I had people that couldn't be there, family members that wanted to see, and I said, well, it's really pretty. Here's where I stand, and this is what the front of the hospital looks like with the beautiful waterfall and everything. And here's his window. This is as close as I can get to it. And I snapped the picture. And when I snapped the picture, here was the first picture. They're not very good because I did snap shots on my phone. I'm sorry, I should have cropped them, but that's it. That's Huntsville Hospital. If you look above the trees, you'll see two windows. The one to the left was where my son was in ICU, and I had just left his room. You had to leave when nurses switch, that shift time. So it was like 6:20 in the morning to 6:30, and then it was at night. It was the same. So that was the only time I would leave his room. And I was down there, and I reached up and I snapped the picture. And then I walked across the street, and I stood right under to the left here, that tree to the left, which is a crepe myrtle. It was July, and it was in full bloom, watermelon pink. And I stood right next to the sign that basically says one way. And I snapped another picture. And I said, well, I'm probably not getting too close, because I could almost see, you can almost see a shadow in the window, and all that is the back of where the IV was standing. And, of course, it's very sad, but at this point he was doing a little bit better, so it's a happy story. And I was just, of course, in an emotional, robotic fog but very positive. It was like no way I was going to let my vibration during this. It had to stay up. So I was kind of joking along the way as I was doing it by myself. I have my phone, and I reach up and I try to get it focused a little more so I can get a closer picture of this window. Now, right before I left, my son was at the point where he could squeeze my hand a little. He couldn't really move too much, and he would try to wink. And I told him, I'm leaving, but I'm not leaving this hospital. I will be back, because I wanted him to know that somebody was there for him. And I said, and I'm not leaving you alone. This whole room is filled with loved ones and your ancestors and your angels and your guardian angels. And I even made a joke about, and I said, probably not all your guardian angels, because two of them were probably at the bar somewhere having, Mai Tais, because you just put them through so much, shaking their head going, man, that boy, making a joke. But I said, I can tell you, I can feel Archangel Michael's here. So I'm not leaving you alone. I'll be back in 10 minutes, I promise. And I left the room. So I snapped the picture again. And when I was sitting in the ICU waiting room to go back in, guard has to let you back in. I was going through the pictures because I was sending them to the person I took them for. And when I took this next picture close up to the window, something hit my back. And I really thought it was like one of the cold buds, flower buds from the crepe myrtle, because it was cold and wet almost. It felt like a bug or something. And I shook my shirt, which was a big old, hippie gauze kind of shirt with nothing, no pockets, no nothing. And I shook it, and I hear something hit the ground. It sounded like a quarter. And I looked down, and sure enough, there was a quarter sitting there. And I joked, and I said to my guides, whatever, I talk to him all the time, and I said, if that's his birth date, I said, you're gonna have to get this ambulance because I'm gonna fall flat out faint. And I laughed, and I said, but I know you guys, you'll pick me back up or something like that. And I picked it up and looked. It was 1993. His birth date was 93. His birthday was 90. And I said, well, gosh darn it, you guys got so close, and it was so cold. It was ice cold. This one wasn't hot. It was ice cold. It's a hot July day. There's no flash. The sun was down behind, because like I said, this was at 6 o'clock in July in Alabama. And when I sat down and I looked at the picture where the quarter hit me, I put it in my pocket, went inside, looked at the pictures. This is the picture I got. And to me, I didn't even have to look. That looks like an angel standing there. And there was no glare in the window. And that looked like Archangel Michael standing with the wings, but I see others standing with. The room was filled with loved ones. Now, the caveat to that story is when you're in the hospital every damn time a nurse comes in or a respiratory therapist or somebody, what's your name? What's your birth date? Because they want to know you're cognizant.
Right.
Every single solitary time they asked him, he said the wrong birth date, July 3rd, 1993.
Oh, right.
And I'm like, it's 90, And I said, well, he had a brain injury. They let it go every single time, except the very last time when they came in to give him his paperwork and his meds, and he was packed up and ready to go out the door. They asked him, you got to give it to me one more time. Your name and your birth date. He said, July 3rd, 1990. We were done. There's my Apports story for
that's
everybody.
Impressive.
I've had a lot of them, but that one means the most because it was definitely a sign. And that looked like Archangel Michael to me. I'll tell you, I felt the love in that room, and I felt the energy and everything. So, and I think it's that. I think it's times in your life sometimes you need it. It doesn't have to be scary and bad like happened to Keith and so many other people. I think it can be a profound exclamation point in your day that's, whether it's a mile marker or an atta girl or we got your back or we got your six. I mean, that's how I look at it, Steve. I think it's, in a lot of cases, it's much better. It's more on the good side, I think. What do you think?
Yep, indeed.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just strange. There is no rhyme or reason for what shows up and why, or at least we don't see it at that point, maybe in retrospect, if ever. So who knows? But it's still fun to think of something traveling through time and space to get to you.
Yep. It means a lot. I still have the quarter, and he knows the story, and there's been other ones along the way that's happened in little spots, and I think it is kind of like that little thing that kind of gives us, we're paying attention and we're with you, And I don't know about your hair tie there, but I would say that's definitely something, Mark. And that just happened today. That's incredible. That's incredible. I think once you're open to this too, it happens more often. And Annette, the lady that was in the video right before you came in, she was saying the same thing. When you open to this and you don't doubt it, it comes through a little easier because we can block things with doubt and negativity.
I I never used to notice it, but nowadays I find I get like a tingling sort of thing, and I'm aware of it. It's took me all my life to actually sort of tune into it, and I know that when that's happening, there's someone around. Not a physical person, but I just know it. I was just searching just now for my charger because my phone is down to like tiny bar, and of course I've only got one place to charge my phone, and it's where my headphones are. So,
Well, I'll tell
if
you
I
what,
if I
guys.
suddenly go, I'm sorry, but
That's okay.
I'll be okay for
We're-
another 5 minutes.
We're on
I
our
think.
way out anyway. Steve has got another stuff he's doing, and it's time to walk Mulder around and have a
Right.
cigarette anyway. So I cannot thank you enough for coming in and surprising us with this story. And next week, I think, Steve, we're doing haunted castles, are we not? So if you want to pop in next Monday, and we're going to talk about the Roman soldiers, we're going to talk about the
Up in
Bloody
York,
Tower.
yeah.
We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff like that. Steve's got some surprises in his back pocket for it too, I know.
Always.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you guys, this has been absolutely awesome. Mark, tell everybody before we go about the books and where they can find your stuff, and Steve, you too. Go ahead, Mark.
Oh, thank you,
Being our
thank you.
guest. Absolutely.
Yeah, I did Wyatt's Weird World. It's Wyatt, as in Wyatt Earp. I'm sure everyone's heard of that. Wyatt. Weird World. I redid it like updated with new information, and my writing had improved over the years as well. It's like a learning curve, really. So it's actually, I'm really quite proud of it now. A lot prouder than I was when I first put it out. And it was on Kindle originally. Now it's on a paperback, and that's available on Amazon. And I've got The Spirit of Cornwall, A Haunted Legacy, Volume 1 and 2, which is basically looking at a whole of Cornwall in 2 volumes, looking at the sort of the eastern end of Cornwall.
You got a lot of stuff going on over there, man.
Yeah, definitely Cornwall's
Oh my
full of it.
gosh. It's
But
got to be, yeah.
yeah, but I've been here for some time now in America, and there's, I try to remember to jot things down when things happen. There's so many things have happened here. In this property I'm in now, we like I said earlier, and we get odd things happen here. We think we've got about 2 people here at least that sort of come and go. I woke up one night and saw somebody stood in the corner of my bedroom. I thought it was a shadow at first. I thought it was my dressing gown hanging or something. And when I woke up in the morning, I realised it couldn't possibly have been,
You got a lot of activity. They want their bottle. They want their bottle back, Mark.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. And
Absolutely.
what is this thing about them going into closets? What's that all about? Because I hear this a lot. And there is a closet in our front room, the one that's alongside this one. And I've not experienced it myself, but Janice says that there is definitely something there, because like she just feels she doesn't want to keep that door open. It feels weird.
I tell her what I always tell everybody: go with your intuition. There's something there, but if you want to sage it or something, or the salt is really good too. Put the salt in front.
For whatever reason, a lot of people, especially years and years ago, would go into the closet to end their life, either by hanging themselves from the clothes rack in there or with a firearm. But I couldn't tell you how many houses that I've heard of where one of the former occupants hung themselves in the closet or the bathroom.
Oh, God. Oh,
Very
thanks for telling me that.
And
The shower rod, or you've got the clothes rod in the closet, so it's a convenient place.
Yeah,
Absolutely
thanks.
agree.
Because I could never figure that one out.
Well, it's also this, that many spirits, earthbound ghosts, like to hide in a dark, quiet place. So closets, attics, basements, the room that nobody uses, because they can't stand the noise. They're, for whatever reason, the ruckus.
And that gets me too. When the closet door is only open an inch or two, I've got to get up and shut it.
Yeah, me too.
If it's open a crack, there's an eyeball in there looking out at me. I just know it.
Well, we've got something. I think it's the same guy. We've got somebody in the attic, and every now and again we hear movement up there. We hear footsteps. I went up there. Must be over a year ago now, and I just took some photographs. And I mean, they're clear orbs, which I don't see how they could have been anything else really. And I've kept those photographs. They're pretty good actually. And I personally, when I go up there, I don't really have a problem with it. I don't really feel that myself. But my Janice's daughter came over here one day, and when we first moved in, she wouldn't go up there. She said there's a guy up there that doesn't want her to come up, and she picks up on it quite strongly.
I would
I don't
absolutely
tend to
go
get
with
that.
that.
Mine's slightly different to that. I get like a tingling and
Well, you just might not very well be, you might not be as tuned in as they are to it, or it may not be
yeah.
presenting itself to you, only them. So
Yes,
that's all
yeah,
part of
yeah.
it. But I'm telling you, if you want to pop in next Monday and you want to
Okay,
talk about castles and, look up, bring some stuff, we're going to have some videos and stuff. We're going to do a
okay.
little, and we've been looking back into Leonard Nimoy's In Search Of, and he's got a great one on
Right.
haunted castles. So we're going to enjoy that. Bring your
Yeah.
popcorn and enjoy. And the weeks go by so fast. Steve, what are you doing this? What do you got going on this week?
Tomorrow night, 13 past midnight, we'll be live with Sandy and I. Don't know really what we're talking about. We've got some travel plans coming up. We're going to be going to Washington State to Olympic National Park to do a little investigating up there. Then we've got a trip in toward the end of summer. We're going to Alaska, and then in October, going back to the Washington State to the Pacific Northwest True Crime Fest in Auburn, Washington at Green River College. I'm going to be presenting at that, selling some books. If you're in that area, come up and see me. I'll sign a book for you. And of
Great.
course, I've
Sounds
got
good.
a little book that I did with Sysco. I've got Strange Things in the Woods, My Strange World, and
Mine's here somewhere.
volumes 1, 2, and 3 of National Park Mysteries and Disappearances. And of course, then the YouTube channel. We just passed 183,000 subscribers overnight,
Wow.
and it's really kicking
Impressive.
It's
tail over there.
fantastic.
So come and check that out. I've got a video up today about Glacier National Park in Montana and a really strange disappearance that happened there back in the 30s, I believe. And then tomorrow, you guys have probably enjoyed it. Got some missing celebrities, including some musicians from the 60s and
Oh, wow.
70s. So
Oh,
that'll
they're
be a good one
always good.
tomorrow.
You guys do such a professional job, but you also keep it somehow. It's professional yet heartfelt, and that's a hard balance to do when you talk about the stuff that you guys are doing. But over there on that channel, you and Bill and all the writers and all the contributors, what a great group! And I'd love to get you and Sandy on to talk about the Spirited Away book. So please
Yeah,
ask her.
that's the other thing. We've got a book coming out
Yep. Please
just as
ask
soon
her
as
to
we can
come
get
on.
it finished. Spirited Away. It's about the missing, murdered indigenous in North America,
Very
and we
near and
just
dear to
signed
my
a
heart.
contract for volume 2. It's
Great.
not due until November, but hopefully we're going to try to get it done early so we can have both books available for the True Crime Fest. She's my traveling companion, so she's going to be going up there with me.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Green River
Fantastic.
College. That's the land of the Green River Killer, Gary Ridgway, operated in that area. So perfect place for True Crime Fest. Look it up online, pnwtruecrimefest.com. A lot of speakers. There's going to be some podcasts there live, and yours truly. If you're in the Seattle, Tacoma area, come out and see me. I'd love to make a picture with you, sign a book, sign whatever you've got, whatever you bring for me to sign.
There you go. Oh, wait. You better, well, I don't know. You might be signing some
I'll,
weird
I'll
shit
sign.
there, Steve.
I'll sign boobs and butts. I don't care.
Oh, gosh. This has been absolutely so much fun. So, apporting, we're 2 hours in. No idea. It just happens. I hope it happens to you. I hope it happens to you when you need that little boost that your loved one is listening, or your guides are listening, or you're that a boy or that a girl or whatever. Because a lot of times, like I said, I think it's good. I just hope that, nothing like happened to Keith and some of that scary stuff with the mail and, the cross in the dryer and all that kind of stuff, because it can be just as scary when it's got that evil connotation to it. So I think if you keep your energy up, and you keep your positivity going, more good things are definitely going to happen than bad. So we'll just stay that way for the next week. We're out of here, guys. I cannot thank you enough. Good night, Mulder. Good night,
Mark,
Mr.
thanks for
Dickens.
joining us.
Good night,
Thank
Mark.
you,
Thanks
Steve.
for
Always
coming
Thank you,
a
in.
Cisco.
pleasure.
Thank you, everybody.
What a great surprise, Mark. Can't wait. And like I said, open invitation anytime, love.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Hi,
Thank
Night,
you,
Dennis.
everybody.
Cisco. Bye-bye.
See you next week. See you tomorrow
Bye.
night on 13 past midnight. Come and join us live.
Absolutely.
I want to do that.
Great family. Love you all, and I think we're out if I can find a thing. I think we are. I moved it on me. And here we go. Bye, everybody.
Bye.